from ABC News Radio, KMET 1490 in Southern California. This is BizNinja Entrepreneur Radio with your host, Tyler Jorgensen.
All right, welcome out everybody to BizNinja Radio with your host, Tyler Jorgensen. I've got a special guest, Ray Karpuska today. Welcome out, Ray.
Hello, everybody.
So Ray and I met in kind of a unique way about almost exactly a year ago. We were at an event in San Diego and for ClickFunnels called Funnel Hacking Live. And in the group, all of a sudden I see this picture of a selfie with someone saying, hey, if this is your car, I want to test drive. And it was my car charging down in San Diego. And so we went for a test drive and had fun and got to know each other a little bit. So I know you a little bit, but the world doesn't yet know you. Why were you there? What was your, what brought you to that event?
Yeah, so I pretty much worked with Russell Brunson for about 6 years. And in 2010, I think, I saw him at the event and, went to him and said, basically, like, we help businesses, entrepreneurs like him to deliver a message, in a more visual, unique way, basically like explain a video, sales video, something that is, sets him apart from, he has a great way to deliver message, but we just, take it to the next level with something that grabs attention. So pretty much, all the event I attended with him was because of, the work I did, but also wanted to close up, like learn the stuff that he teaches so I can understand, the video message also.
So you create really amazing videos, everything from explainer videos to sales videos and animations. I've seen a few pieces of your work and they're all different, but really, really great.
Thank you.
What got you into sales and marketing in the first place?
Yeah. So believe it or not, it actually wasn't about the money. It wasn't about the sales or anything else. Like when I was growing up in Lithuania and I didn't see any examples in my life. So basically pretty much, I had really poor skills of communication, but pretty much none of the skills. Didn't understand anything about money, didn't have any examples. So I was like, trying many different things in life, traveling, like searching for luck, for love or whatever you call it. And then, got to the point where I was suicidal. I was in depression for like 3 or something years. And, I was like, I wanted, the suicide kind of, commitment to the suicide was a thing to the point for getting away, trying to find a different way. And I made the decision I want to live. And, like, cool, you want to live, like you want to take everything from life, but I didn't know how. I think, Tony Robbins talked about in the event that we attended just recently, 80% is psychology and 20% is tactics. So maybe I got that psychology, but like I didn't have any tactics whatsoever. So, I started researching, looking, and I found The Secret, subscribed to basically pretty much everybody on The Secret. And then, a couple people in there, like I started listening to the tapes and, something just snapped, like, after some time, but it just snapped and I woke up and I wanted to share that message. I wanted to share like, people who are suicidal, who have this depression, or basically just looking for a way out, to a more magnificent life.
Right.
And nobody cared, nobody listened, nobody cared. Like, I set up like meetings and stuff like that, nobody, everybody, is arguing and, like showing their different point of view. Or, at least most of them, they talk about their limitations, right? Arguing their limitations. So I'm like, this doesn't work, like it's not the way. So I started looking like, how can I attract people? How can I get people to listen, to come to me instead of me going to them? And, I started basically researching, got the lucky break. Pretty much, the commitment got me to a point where I left the job in the factory and I was pretty much sleeping in the car for 5 days. I found a partner that basically I just, wrote everything I have, everything I can do. I wrote on a piece of paper, just like a business card, and I just went through houses, putting leaflets through the door in UK, in London. So it's like leaflets through the door. I got bitten by dogs, stuck my fingers, everything like that.
Right.
So after like 1,500 houses, I found the guy that called me, the first client, and he introduced me to another girl, and she introduced me to another guy, and the guy basically was an investor, and also he was a pilot, and also Tony Robbins Platinum membership member. So he saw my my drive, my everything, because I didn't have anything then, and he just said, like, hey, I saw you the work you do, I saw the way you take the project and how you take care of it and make sure that everything is great. I would like to invest in you, and I can take you to like different people. So he basically introduced me to Joseph McClendon, who works with Tony Robbins, and from there met Mike Koenigs, and pretty much actually when I met Mike Koenigs for the first time, it was in San Diego where Russell was speaking.
Gotcha.
So I saw him, connected with him, and this is where it all went.
So
I wanted to share.
So you were working in a factory. I'm assuming you weren't working in a factory doing video work.
No.
Right. So when did you start learning? Did you self-teach yourself all of these animation skills? So at what point in that timeline had you started to gain that skill base?
So I'm 34 now. So pretty much when I was probably 18, that's when I started like looking into computers, and then probably video editing was about like 2021 maybe already. So that's it's already like 14 maybe 13 years.
So you've been doing that kind of almost as a hobby, just kind of figuring it out?
In the beginning was a hobby. Like animation for me, when the first time I saw it, I think it was a flash, and then somebody showed me like the dot moves from here to here, and I'm like, self-worth is low. Like, you're looking for like, oh, that's going to make me likable, that's going to make me, that's going to make people like, look like, oh, if he can do amazing things, he must be something,
Sure.
Some sort of a nice person or whatever. So I in my country, I pretty much did like for 4 years, TV shows, TV animation intros, that type of stuff, like commercials every day, 2 or 3 commercials every day. So I was in the company where, they didn't value the employees. So it's just, fast work, and it's like, it's like turnover. So I think I learned how to produce it, not, amazing stuff, but quick and efficient, and cheap probably also.
Well, a lot of times that's what's important for the small entrepreneur, right? It's tough when you're an employee and you're doing that because you kind of almost feel like you're giving up the artistic side of it. But learning to produce at that pace is probably a skill that's helped you over time.
Yeah. And I think, in the agency, if you think about agencies, they have like a lot of money, they have a lot of time usually. And, the person that comes out of agency into this internet marketing world, they don't adapt because for them it's too quick, too many changes, and they just cannot find a place, so they stick with the corporate and, big HP, where most of them, the videos don't really, they don't really care about sales or, does it produce anything? No, it's just, we need to show off. We need to make sure the name is there.
Yeah. It's amazing how much television stuff isn't about results. It's really just about appearance. And so that kind of leads us into a different type of video, right? Where you were doing intro videos and stuff like that, but then you started talking about sales and explainer videos, and you had some insights on what those have in common. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so pretty much, if you think about any sales video that you see, think about movies actually. Now I can if you know the formula, you can predict exactly what the movie is all about. Everything is about the hero's journey. Is in the beginning is like, he's amazing, he's like cool and stuff like that, but it's just a persona that that he's stuck, or the lie he has about himself. And then when it takes him to a journey, forces him some sort of event, right? Shrek got all like fairy tale creatures in his swamp, so he's now on a mission, and the journey is basically to find that piece, or to get back to the same place. But the journey is always growth. and the growth of the character, and then the end, it's not maybe he gets or he doesn't get the things he wanted, but in the end he gets what he really wanted. And then if you look at the sales video, that's everything pretty much. All sales video, all explainer video has the same thing. Is they like, this is where you are, and this is where you journey, you try to do this and this, but there's another way. And I think one of the key things is that pretty much all sales video, all explainer videos are the same. It's just different, different text, different language patterns that they use, but there's no science.
Right. Well, you're saying, I guess there is a science, right? Because it's a proven pattern that if you follow it, you should receive similar results, right?
Yep.
So you're saying that even a short explainer video, like someone catches online, has a plot and a story and a good, and is going to walk them through, just like Mission Impossible or Shrek, like you mentioned.
Yep.
And so
I love it. What it really is Inception.
Okay.
Because you basically need to convey a simple idea, which is basically at the core level of, at the core of human brain, which is just basically croc brain.
Right.
Eat, sleep, and, so, so if you take the reason the explainers in the sales video got so popular is because the attention span, it just like, especially with the cool videos, you keep people's attention because it's changing, it's not, in this world now, everything screams at you, right? Like, even if you watch video on Facebook, the minute that's like, it's not interesting, there's already you look at the other videos. And actually I have clients that, I worked with, and they have like millions and millions YouTube views, and around 70% of all the video views actually coming from the related videos. It's not through search, it's through related, because if you get to YouTube, once video is finished, you go to another one, and
it just starts feeding.
It's like 10, 20, and 2 hours later, okay.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I think Netflix was the first one to do that, there's a name for it, and I don't recall it right now, but where they started doing that, where within 5 seconds the new video starts, and it's even before the credits are over, and they found consumption increased by something like 800% or some amazing amount. And because, but at the same time, it kind of brings to light, on ourselves as the consumers need to be more aware, because it's really easy to just go down that rabbit hole and, 12 hours later emerge out the other side of some YouTube video.
The thing I hate about online is when I click something on Facebook, for example, and I go to YouTube, and then an hour or half an hour later, I close the YouTube, like, damn, this is where I was, It was it just takes you, to a different path. And explainer videos, sales video, all of them have the same, thing in common. In the beginning, you need to take people off whatever they're doing, grab their attention, and it's called pattern interrupt. So that's why, it's boom. Even with the sales video, if you look at long sales video,
right,
if you have the slides, the most important thing is the intro, because the intro sets the tone for for the rest of the video. So if you got two different, usually it's boom, boom, bum, blah, 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 everything just goes like that, and then just slides. Because if it doesn't hook you up, and that's why, we do the same, let's say, 70% of the video, the end of the video is the same, and you just test the different.
Test the front.
Yeah, test the front, and then you look at the analytics, how long is the retention changes for that type of, intro.
Interesting. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. If you can't, and it's the same thing on two dimensions, right? So on your sales page, if you can't get people to go below the fold, right? If what's above the fold doesn't work, then it doesn't matter what's after that, right? Because they're not going to see it. They're not going to scroll to it. Just so the same in a video. If the first bit isn't good and they're not going to watch, they're not going to stay on.
Yep.
Keep doing it.
Yeah, I mean, another thing that I also saw, in the Wolf of Wall Street. So Jordan Belfort was a client of mine, and this is before I knew the sales. So that's why I learned all the sales techniques. And then he talked about straight line persuasion system that actually is featured in the movie, but he talked about looping. I think it didn't mention in the movie, but looping, what it is just basically, when you build up like this is the product, this is me, at that level, and the company, etc. Everything is great. You ask for the order. If the person is, so he's like confident. The person is in good mood. He's seeing things, and then you ask like, here's the next step to do, and he's like, well, let me think about it. He just drops. So what you do, the looping is basically you have to build up everything again, and you through different patterns, and then you have to ask for the order again. If you look at the sales pages or the sales video, it's pretty much the same. You go to a point where you ask the sale, right? Here's the, and then, if people don't buy, and this is usually on the sales page also, like, that's why there are multiple buttons. If people don't buy at that point, okay, so now listen, builds up again, ask for the, now, if you're still not yet, if you just,
you see that a lot in infomercials, right? Because they're long enough that they'll run every 5 minutes or so. There's a point where there's an ask, and then they run a very similar pitch to the first one, but with a small change. Maybe they start value stacking. Maybe they start doing risk.
I love I think I can't remember who said it, but I think Jordan actually said, sale is basically, or the closing of the sale is like a padlock or the the safe.
Mm-hmm.
You do like tick, tick, tick,
right,
and then it's just at one point like just opens up. So it's the same thing. And one thing again, like interesting, the video may be 70 minutes. The sales video might be, like the longest I think we did 75 minutes sales video, right? But then pretty much like 5-6 times you ask for the order, the finishing always a question, questions. And the one thing that we do, which is really cool with the slide VSL, they call it ugly VSL, which is basically just slides with text. You can actually embed messages. So for example, say like, while you believe that this and this and that, we just delete that while and just say, you believe that and that, or when you order today, you just
pick up on those words,
and it's amazing. Like the first time I started learning from John Benson, one of the probably greatest VSL guy, that was like, for me, is like, oh my God, how many things I did miss out, of my sales videos. So, it was great after learning his stuff, and actually I got him as a client, and pretty much from like 70 minutes video, I got like 2 small changes that I had to make, so that's how much I learned from him. It was amazing.
That's really cool. So you merge from the factory, you find your first, person that's willing to hire you, start helping you, you instantly start making some big connections. What were some of the first like big stepping stone opportunities, and how did you leverage those to get to where you are now?
Yeah. So, because the first person I started working with after Joseph McClendon, was Mike Koenigs. And Mike Koenigs at that time, they released the Traffic Geyser, which was basically a system. They, you upload one video, and then it's like after 48 hours, you have like 1,000 links on Google linking, from different blogs and podcasts and everything else. Google, of course, figured this out, and then slapped them, so it didn't work. But the opportunity was because everybody's kind of like jumping in, and it was about video, mainly with the video, like, do 10 videos, frequently asked questions, must ask questions, and that's your lead magnets. So the one thing I learned from him was about how powerful video is, not just, sales video, animation video, but like how powerful it is to capture other people talking about you. So what I did, pretty much every single client I worked with, I was like, I could actually do it for free in the beginning just to get the testimonial. Right. So I got testimonial from Jordan Belfort. I got testimonial from Mike, from, like pretty much every single person I worked. And then when other like speakers come in, to the website, they see the people that they talk, great stuff about me, right. And just easy sell.
Cool. And so that was, it sounded like what, like 6-7 years ago?
Probably.
Yeah. And so you've learned a lot about the process partially because by building them, right, by building out these things, but also because you get to interact with all these top level marketers. And you brought up a point about that a lot of people who are great at something, they don't understand why they're great at something. And so they have a hard time teaching it because they think it's just like normal to them, right? So they're teaching from their intuition. Tell us a little bit about that and kind of how people can change that.
Yep. So just before I go into, you know, how I found out, it's like the best analogy I think is if you think about, you know, great basketball player, you know, the great basketball player is not necessarily the best coach, or actually might be the worst coach, right?
Sure.
And then the best coach might be not even good at all at basketball. It's, you know, it's those two things are not related because, you know, it's a different skill basically. It's teaching and being creative and like more like a manager. So two different things, two different roles. Right. So I saw, like, I started seeing because, you know, the way I got myself elevated from basically pretty much, you know, zero ground to, you know, somebody in almost like 3 or 5 years, was because first of all, I didn't have ground to, you know, anything to base on. So like, I didn't have any beliefs about, like, for example, selling. What is selling? I don't know what is selling, you know, like, right. You know, here's, you know, this is how much it costs. This is a product, you know, please buy. So I pretty much, everybody I worked with, I consumed like everything, you know. Mike, I remember he had like everybody, you know, within the syndicate, right? Everybody would send, you know, each other like all the courses they release. And I'm like, I'm coming to US and I'm like grabbing to, you know, on my hard drive, just putting in, you know, coming back to London and just studying. And then I, you know, I actually started applying it, you know, everything I learned, I started applying it. I'm like, there's so much, you know, I felt that there was so much disconnect because they kind of teach it, but like, if they're not next to me, I'm lost. And now I'm kind of like, you know, it's like in the dark, right? They're going and I don't see them anymore. Now I don't know where, you know.
Teachers are teaching with an assumption to understand certain things.
Yeah.
Right? And so, you know, you have to, and that's what I think why Russell, I think, is one of the best teachers I've ever seen, is because he teaches it as if everybody is at like the very first level, but he doesn't teach condescending, right? And he has this amazing way to teach through stories without making people feel small. But a lot of these experts have a hard time speaking to people that aren't already at their level. And then, well, they're not teaching anything, right? If people are already where you are, you're not helping them.
I think actually Russell talked about it. He said, you know, like when they show him ClickFunnels stuff, he said, like, you know, if I don't get it, like if Russell don't get it, you know, nobody will get it. Because like he's the ground level, you know, he's not in technology, he's a sports guy.
Yeah, he plays that role a little bit. He's a lot smarter than I think he lets us all know.
But I think it's just, you know, being logical and kind of like acting lazy. So it's like, I don't want to do the work, you know, I can do, but like, I don't want to do, you know.
Right.
So when I started learning all that stuff, applying, I started seeing, you know, that this is what the missing part. And because my belief, I kind of created like the best person to become is the most needed, or, you know, the person like everybody needs to go to connect, you know. But probably the best great business or entrepreneurs, they're the ones that are really good at networking, right? So they are the base, you know, they are the starting point for everybody to connect.
Sure.
And so I saw the need, and then in Lithuania, because I have like connections here and you know, started teaching people here, I started attracting also like other teachers. And one guy, he basically found a system in Russia that when they were launching rockets, creating like, you know, rocket ships, there was like 400,000 people working on the project, and the, you know, Russian government actually asked to create a system or a language that anybody could understand, everybody, you know, could speak in a process. Right. So like, you know, 400,000 people speaking different language, you know, different technical languages. How can you connect in the process? Right. And so they spent, you know, I don't know how many years. Basically, they create a system where if you think about it, you know, like how do we, you know, evolve is we bounce from door, from corner to corner, and like we record, this is how to do, this is not how to do it. So we create basically like, a blind person can navigate because he learns the pattern of, everything. Because one time he bumps into here, now it's like, no, this is the wrong place. It records a map, right? It's like basically it's the basic map recording, right? Like they scan everything and that's what it does. So, there's a sequence in the brain that when you do something, it fires up specifically, like, after so many experience, it fires up specific sequences. Like, this is exactly, I watched again the Apollo 13. It's like the launch models and everything else, like, every single thing has a sequence. If this happens, we have to redo the sequences, etc., and test it. So that's how our brain wired. But if you think about, like, is there any system that it's easy to take, somebody's brain and put it into a specific actions, a sequence that it's not just, like a mind map, because mind map is just the chaos here, put it, on the paper. That's all it is. It's just an ideas, but the person knows exactly how it fires up specific sequence in his head. So, if you can take somebody's brain and like how they navigate, because for him, it takes, a millisecond to like, this, here's what you have to do. Right. For you, a great example was my friend and a client who does e-commerce. So it's like, I asked him, like, show me please, how do you search for products? So he looks at, so I'm showing him my screen, and then he sees like a iPhone cover. Right. He sees like, $2 or something. And he's like, oh my God, this is a money making, machine. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, I only see $2, it's like, it's $2. Like for me, it's like, I have to spend it. He's already seeing like how he can make, 6 or 7 figures. And like, that's a good example. Like, cause I don't pass sequence.
So for me, let's use me and you as an example. Like, because I've never done, I do very basic graphic design, right? I don't understand animation. What you see when you look at graphics or an animated video is going to be very different than what I see, right? Because I'm not going to see all the technical stuff, and I'm going to just be like, oh, that's cool. It moves around.
I think Tony says anticipation, right? Anticipating what's going to happen, how it's going to be. So so that's the hardest thing. I mean, like, I'm not going to go through any of the specifics about it, but it's just that this is where I think the world is at, is that most people teach, and the people who teach usually don't really understand the process that they have to teach.
Right, because it's something that they had a natural skill for, so maybe they never even learned the process.
One of the things of everybody talks about ideal clients, and nobody really talks about ideal clients' behavior. Because if you think about if you're creating a software, you have to really figure out the behavior that they're gonna go through, and then adapt the software to it.
Interesting. Yeah, that's true.
So that's exactly like, how do you an example would be like, most people talk in concepts like Facebook ads, like we need to create Facebook ads, but it's the same as saying, let's launch a, Boeing 777 engine. Like, how do you do that? So everybody talks about like what to do, but there's actually every what to do has to be specific what to do. And the specific what to do question is, don't tell me what we have to do. Tell me how exactly we're going to do, where to go, what to do, where to click, what to do. As like, because if I want to take your brain and the sequence that fires up, I need to basically, first of all, we need to take the map out of you. This is how it goes, right? Right. And then I need to simulate that in my mind without thinking, because like there's no connection there. Like whatever you have, the way you see the world, I don't have that. And I need to simulate the view, the same, action step. If this happens, this is how I have to see. This is how I have to do this. Right. And then, and when you simulate different maps, then there's only 2 things left. One is if the person doesn't get results, it's he didn't follow exactly the map, right? Or the map is wrong.
Makes sense. So how do we apply that back into sales and marketing videos and that kind of stuff?
Yeah, so sales and marketing. So like all of your, I mean, like Russell talks about what is it called? 4 minute mile, 4 minute mile.
The 4 minute
Like,
mile,
yeah.
right?
So like help your customers to reach that 4 minute mile, which is basically help people to reach the result they don't believe it's possible.
Sure.
Right. So, if you think about like, even if you're doing a PDF, anything, and like if even if you're doing like a short, a simple freebie, if people cannot follow like easy steps, right? If they cannot follow specific, like, steps to get results,
Right.
I mean, like, it doesn't matter how many pages you put there, it doesn't matter how
Sure.
much
So what you're saying,
content.
what you're saying is that any good sales process has to have a clear map for the consumer to follow to get the result that you promised them at the beginning, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Because every single product within your ladder is a marketing material for the other one.
right.
So if the person doesn't get through creating a Facebook fan page, he doesn't get to a Facebook ads.
Right. He won't do the next piece. And that's true. I mean, a lot of times, clients that I work with, they think they're ready for to go full blown on their marketing, but they don't have key components that need to be there for the rest of their business. And so it's helping them also identify where they are and what the needs are still remaining. So if people want, so I guess, I mean, your website is Raynimation, like Ray and animation merged together.
Yeah. Or you can actually go to rayanimation.com.
Okay. Or yeah.
After learning sales and marketing, I'm like, damn, that was a bad name.
Yeah, that's funny. So you can go to either one of those, and you can see tons of client videos and client testimonials about the kind of stuff that Ray does. They're really cool. And then if people want to work with you, they can also connect you there. What is, like, if someone's just getting started and they think that their website needs an explainer video, what is a basic video going to run somebody?
You mean like if they need to run it just
like, what is the development of getting a video made? What does that cost these days?
Yeah. So if you're an entrepreneur, if you're successful and you have, budget and you that's going to work for you, or at least, you really have a good idea that, you have something that might work really well, then explainer videos cost around, there's different pricing, different like quality, but, like usual, just to get a sense of what the pricing is, we're talking about like probably about $5,000 a minute. That's normal, something around that. I mean, like plus minus. But if you're just starting out, all you need to do is just figure out, how can you create a simple message that is, that reaches the person. And the video and audio is just, it's just the basic of delivering the message. The message is the most important. And actually, like, as much as I don't want to give a secret away, but the animation itself is like, it's only 5% to 10% of all the explainer and sales video. It's nothing. I mean, like, the only thing we do is we just take that message, like a movie, the difference between book and a movie, but it was the story, it was the characters. You just made it animated live.
Right. They came to you with a script and there was a story already in place, but you brought it to life.
Yeah. So just to give you an idea, for example, explain it like 5 minutes or 3 minutes explainer video script can cost, $10,000-$15,000 just the script. Put that cool video animation, 20-30 grand on top of that, like really cool. And of course, it can make millions, but, just a good one. And
so a lot of these really great, amazing explainer videos that, that guys like you produce, they're not really built. Your market, right, isn't the startup entrepreneurs, the guy who already has proven himself some success and he's using this to scale up or to hit a new product out of the market. But what you're saying is that someone who's just getting started, they can use whatever tools are at their disposal to at least get that first level of success, and then build on that, and then eventually add and improve it until they eventually.
Actually, that's how I developed my business, because I was doing the high-end stuff only, And I saw like a lot of people. This is what I think this is the key of this interview. I think most people look at those videos, the sales videos, the like launch videos, and they actually come to me sometimes saying like, if I could have this video, I believe I could make sales. And they don't really understand that it's not the video, it's not it was the message. So I started seeing like a lot of,
around it too, right?
So like I started seeing that a lot of, people who are broke or just starting out coming to me to look, for a $20,000, $30,000 video because they thought, it was less, first of all.
Right.
And second is they thought it was the key of success without any sales funnel, nothing, overall. So I basically then started learning and, getting myself out there so I can, if somebody comes in the, that's attraction, that's the high-end stuff, attraction, which is really great. But also, here's what you have to start, and the start is basically really, $300, $500, $1,000, $2,000. But like, you need to understand what the sequence is of when you have to start. And again, talking about the sequences, right? It's exactly the same way. Like, you have to understand, what needs to be done first. And, shiny objects is always cool, but it makes you broke and no money.
Yeah. Some of the best converting sales funnels that I've ever seen are incredibly simple, and they work because of their simplicity. But then as they work, and you build a customer base, you can always add on to it. It's like whenever I'm building into ClickFunnels and somebody says, "Oh, I wish that it did this." And I'm like, yeah, that would be great if it had that service, but do you really need it right now? Are you getting the most out of what's available now? Or are you looking at that piece that doesn't exist as the reason that you're not successful, right? And making an excuse for that. And so, it's been really fun visiting with you. I hope people visit Raynimation or Ray Animation, check you out. I know you're often at a lot of great events, and so hopefully people can connect with you. And appreciate you coming out. My last question for you is the question I ask most of my guests over the last few years. It's what one major item on your bucket list do you want to accomplish this year?
This year. All right. So this year, the helicopter pilot license not applicable. Well, actually, at this moment, I'm reinventing myself. So my big thing is, how can I, because I was putting myself as a video guy, pretty much until the point. And I think, actually you helping me to realize and, get myself out there is that I'm way behind, I'm way more than that. And I think it's a good lesson for everybody else. It's just, we're so used to like promoting or getting ourselves out there through our product, through our service or whatever we do. And we kind of limit to that, and we don't really like put out ourselves, who we are, and which is, way, way, way more than a product or service, whatever.
Sure.
So for me, I think the biggest thing this year is to reinvent myself in a way that I can, finally start be seen and have a reputation of who I am, so I can do the things that are most important to me, straight, instead of like going through the conversations and, trying to get, after 2 or 3 days talking with people, only then they find out, what my core value, is for them.
Sure. So you're peeling off so what, you said early on in this interview that, when your self-worth was low, you felt like by having some cool skills like animation, that you would be able to front that and people would be like, oh, he must be cool because he does cool stuff.
Yeah.
And you're finally ready to completely peel that off and say, I do way more than that. I'm just a really good guy who also does these other things, right?
So you're a host that listens, huh?
That's the goal. But
thank you for that. That was a good insight.
Yeah. So
I've never seen that way.
I'm excited for you, man. Anytime somebody makes the decision to really become more true to themselves, closer to their core, I think it makes massive ripples, not only in their lives, but in the lives around them. Because most people around us are all living in that same facade. And so when they see somebody like you make the choice to step away from that, it's motivating for them.
Yeah. And then, like, another thing that I always had as an issue was, my language, being, not from a small country, etc. That was always kind of in the back of my mind, that the blog that I got as an excuse.
Right.
Or the comfort.
Right. Well, time to put it away. And so I'm proud of you, man. That's awesome stuff. Appreciate to everyone listening to BizNinja Radio here on ABC News in Southern California, or whether you're tuning in on iTunes through our podcast, which you can check out at bizninja.com/radio. We appreciate you checking everything out and tuning in. Now go out and do something.
Thank you for listening to BizNinja Entrepreneur Radio with Tyler Jorgensen. Please make sure to subscribe so you're first to hear new interviews and episodes. If you found this podcast to be valuable, please share it with a friend. Don't forget to visit our online dojo at bizninja.com to claim your reward for listening to the show.